Nathan here with Back to the Frame Rate, here to tell you about an upcoming event that not only are we ecstatic about, but we think you'll be too. We're about to reach our 100th episode, and we want to celebrate it with our friends and fans. So come on out to the Back to the Frame Rate 100th episode spectacular, where we're screening the 1999 sci-fi comedy classic Galaxy Quest, followed by the actual recording of our 100th podcast in front of you, a live studio audience where we'll have a ton of fun talking about the film, but the most important aspect is you. We need you there to share your opinions, your stories, and your questions so that you are part of the podcast recording and thus part of podcast history. This is a completely free event. All ages are welcome. We've got special guests lined up, prizes to give out, and free popcorn, snacks, and water. So come on down Friday night, January 10th, 6 to 10 p.m. at the Weston Art and Innovation Center in Weston, Massachusetts. Geek out with us and make our 100th episode one to remember.
In the dying embers of human existence, as the asteroid, a behemoth the size of Texas, hurtles relentlessly toward Earth, the world braces for an apocalyptic end. Deep beneath the bunker, a refuge plunges into the bowels of the earth. Here the chosen gather, their purpose clear, to preserve the very soul of our civilization. The 35 and 70 millimeter prints that encapsulate the magic, the emotion, and the dreams of generations past. These masterpieces, each frame a testament to the human spirit, are carefully cataloged and cradled in the cavernous confines of the bunker. Perhaps there was room for more, for friends and family yearning for salvation, but sacrifices must be made. The movie nerds stand united, the keepers of a flame, promising a future where the art of storytelling endures, transcending the boundaries of time and space. God help us all.
Welcome to Back to the Frame Rate, part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. Join us as we watch and discuss films on VOD and streaming platforms, deliberating on whether each one is worthy of salvation or destined for destruction in the face of the impending asteroid apocalypse. You can find more episodes of this podcast at backtotheframerate.com, where you can subscribe and share our show, and find us on our socials at Back to the Frame Rate. I am Nathan Shore, and accompanying me are the extraordinary movie mavens, Brianna Butterworth and Sam Cole.
Hello.
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 So, we're recording this on a night, but this is going to be coming out in the month of December to the people that are listening this. Whoa, it's after Thanksgiving. We are in the future.
That's amazing.
Which means that
how did Gladiator 2 do at the box office? We don't know. We don't know.
We don't know yet.
But you guys will know because you're in the future.
We're going to find
so
out.
If this is coming out in December, that means in a little over a month from now is our 100th episode spectacular. It is coming fast and furious. So
can't wait.
Get your tickets. There are links in the show notes to get a seat at this event on January 10th. So keep your eyes out for that. Anyways. So tonight we have our November wrap up, our oh my God, I did it again. Our Noirvember award show, where we are going to hand out awards and superlatives for the 4 films that we watched in our 70s Noirvember Retrospective series, which included the films The Long Goodbye, Klute, Night Moves, and the Yakuza. I am stoked. I don't know about you guys, but
it was a good month.
I always love doing these episodes because they're always kind of fun. We get to kind of have fun and talk.
Let loose.
Exactly.
Let loose. Talk about what a fun month we had.
I did.
Let me tell you, like I said last week, this is my Dudes Rock retrospective. And boy, was it a good time.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this past month, Sam?
I enjoyed this past month, and I enjoyed the films, and I look forward to ranking them and discussing them.
And
I'm using my NPR voice. I'm Herbert Clifton, and we're going to discuss the weather. No, but it's
you
good
did
movies,
catch up, and you caught up on Klute, I heard as well.
I did see Klute. Yeah, I watched it last night.
So we are all on the same page. Very good. So
it was good.
We have
I hope we do film noir again, to be honest, in November 2025, because I really liked the 80s one in 2023, and this lineup was pretty good. It just, to me, it's like a staple of the holidays at this point.
I know. I like it too. Noirvember.
A lot of fun. All right. Well, let's not waste any time. Let's get into these awards. We got some of our old favorites, but we got a couple of new categories here tailored to film noir. Some of these categories, they're flawed. We just kind of threw these out there. And if the listeners out there have suggestions for categories, you can always reach out to us. We're here. We're listening. We'd love to get some feedback from you. All right.
I'm so sorry. These categories are set in stone, and they will be using them at the next Oscars.
So our first category is the Antihero Award. This should probably speak for itself because neo-noir is all about the antiheroes.
This was I didn't feel like a lot of our leads fit the traditional anti-hero description here. So I'm going to give it to Philip Marlowe. He was probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick. I'm going to follow you up and say that was my pick as well. I give this to Philip Marlowe, played by Elliot Gould in The Long Goodbye. I think it comes down to Marlowe's personal code of ethics and his cynicism that make him an exceptional anti-hero. He's driven by the belief of doing what is right, despite being surrounded by a world of corruption and indifference. And unlike other anti-heroes like Mosby, Klute, and Harry Kilmer, he never compromises integrity. So definitely.
Mosby was a close backup for me. I love that character.
Yeah.
I'd be Philip Marlowe as well, just because I liked him so much. I know it doesn't quite fit the anti-hero, but I felt like he was the most alive, memorable character of the quote unquote anti-heroes this month. So I'd have to agree. That was like a no-brainer for me.
Good. Okay. Our next category is Best Femme Fatale.
Woo! We had some good options for this one, and I have to foreshadow a little bit. This is going to be the whole show for me. I am beginning my nominations now for Brie Daniels, and I will be from Klute, of course, and I will be running her campaign for this Oscar race. She's an amazing character. I talk about it on the episode. I think she's so fleshed out. For a femme fatale, she's really three-dimensional and powerful and tender and exciting. And God, I just love her so much. Rename the movie.
We were saying that the movie should be called Brie.
Should be called Brie.
It should be. Why was it called Klute? And Klute is such a weird. Klute sounds like a movie that someone with a peanut allergy would love. Like, I'm gonna go watch Klute.
Or it could be a disease like I got the Klute.
No, exactly. It sounds like I actually was not looking forward to watching the film because of the title. I thought, oh God, and then I really liked it, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
For me, I'm going a different direction though. For me, I'm giving this award to Jennifer Warren as the character of Paula in Night Moves. I think of all the characters that fall under the umbrella of femme fatale in the series, she's the one that is the most morally ambiguous and layered. I think it's alluded to that, to all that. Well, it's not really alluded to all that much in the film, but there's a combination of personal trauma and vulnerability that make her both unpredictable and dangerous. She could just as easily sleep with you as kill you in your sleep if you push her too far. So she is my pick for Best Femme Fatale.
She was really fun to watch on screen.
I hear that. It's difficult for me because how much I like the character sort of affects it. But I would really have to go with Jane Fonda and Klute as Brie, just because I felt like I got to know her the most. And she was a femme fatale and fit that well. And I just thought her character, because of the screen time she had, she was so three-dimensional and there was so much about her. I just found her genuinely as interesting. So that's the reason why I picked her, but also just because she left a really strong impression of all the characters in the films.
Mm-hmm. All right. Very good. All right. Next category, one that we've had for our second month in a row now, is best death or kill.
So there is a couple for me in here.
We should have worst death or kill, because that's what I could think of some of those. But
yeah.
Interpret it any way you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe the
most
question
memorable.
was, yeah, most shocking. So there's a lot of good kills in here, but for me, the shocking, like that kind of kill is the end of The Long Goodbye, which I don't want to spoil it if folks haven't seen it, but there's only a couple moments of really shocking violence in that movie, and they really do come as such surprises that it just really amplifies how graphic it is.
Well, I'm putting at the top of this episode, spoilers be damned, we are spoiling all 4 of these movies. All right, this is an award show. It's impossible to give out awards without spoiling these 4 movies. So if you have not seen The Long Goodbye, Klute, Night Moves, or The Yakuza, you very likely will get spoiled on these 4 movies. So. True. But yes, but I also have the same pick for best death kill, and it's got to be Philip Marlowe blowing away Terry Lennox at the end of The Long Goodbye. It wasn't so much as shocking for me as it was just the most satisfying death in the entire retrospective, because Marlowe is dealing with so much shit before this that it just was the enough is enough moment and takes vengeance on a truly horrible person. And I really love it.
I have to agree with The Long Goodbye ending just because it was so cathartic. So that would be my choice as well. But as the antithesis, just to throw this in there for the sake of comedy, worst death in all of them, even though I really like the movie, the end of Klute, where the villain commits suicide out the window. I did not know.
Oh my God. He just like propels himself backwards.
The way that was edited, I was not sure who it was that jumped out the window. I thought it might have been Donald Sutherland. And I thought, what the hell did he do that for? And so that to me was like,
Yeah.
So that's the antithesis. But the best one, The Long Goodbye, was so cathartic too. So yeah.
It was.
Great. All right, next is the Scene Stealer Award. You know, this is an award that celebrates a magnetic character who, with just a few moments of on-screen, grabs the spotlight with an unforgettable performance. So what is your pick, B?
Paula from Night Moves. I think every time she's on screen, it's incredibly magnetic, and she's part of what makes this movie, for me, the long exhalation and goodbye to this genre. She's just so complete and complex.
Okay.
And she doesn't have the same screen time as Brie, and she does a lot with it.
That's a good pick. So I also have a character from The Long Goodbye.
Is it Melanie Griffith? Oh, from The Long Goodbye.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's not. I'm going. That's right. You picked from Night Moves. I'm going from The Long Goodbye. So this movie is just loaded with scene-stealing characters. Number one. So hence, I'm going to pick Sterling Hayden as Roger Wade.
Fun.
His presence in the film is towering. He's also a towering figure. But every moment he's on screen, he commands. Even in the scene when he is slapped silly by Henry Gibson and all the power is taken away from him, his portrayal of a man broken by his own demons and struggling to maintain control over his life just adds just like this haunting depth to the film. So I love Sterling Hayden as the scene stealer in The Long Goodbye.
I was going to say Arnold Schwarzenegger because he was so distracting.
I thought about that.
But I will completely subvert it. This is totally ridiculous, but it's a scene towards the end of Klute where Donald Sutherland is going into this office and he's looking for Brie, and there's this elderly woman there who really, in my opinion, overacts.
Jean Stapleton?
Where she's like, is that the one where she's like, where she's calling the name of like
Archie? It's Jean Stapleton from All the Family.
Yeah, she stole that scene.
That's funny.
Pretty loud.
Everybody's his friend or something.
If we're thinking it's got to be Jean Stapleton. Yeah, and then she's like, Mr. Crawford, Where are you? And she's like, He's like, oh, he left for the day. That was just, it was pretty grating for me. Yeah.
That's awesome. I Mary Jane Stapleton wins an award.
Love her.
Okay. Next up is Best Plot Twist.
So easy for me. There were a lot of great movies. I don't think they all had great plot twists. I think a lot of these movies were much more character driven than plot driven, which is the juice for me. I was so happy to have that in a series. So the best plot twist comes from a movie whose plot I really didn't love, the Yakuza. By the time we got to this plot twist, I was like, here we go. This is relevant and interesting and recontextualizes the performances for me. So glad to have it.
100% B. And I also have, I think, the same pick as well. I gave this also to the Yakuza when we learned that Aiko and Tanaka are not siblings, but actually they are married, their husband and wife. This blindsided me, and it ended up giving this movie a lot more emotional stakes for these characters. So I really love this. And yes, it raised the bar on this movie a lot for me. So 100%. This was my favorite plot twist of this series.
Can we talk about how they just really pulled a for real Jack White?
Oh. I did not make that. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did. Wow. That's funny.
So though it was it was a more kind of on the nose plot twist and you knew it was going somewhere just for the visuals alone. I did like the submerged seaplane and night moves.
Yes.
I thought that was clever. Obviously it was a plant and a payoff. You knew something was coming. So it was not a huge surprise, but I thought it was a solid plot twist, and the visuals are kind of what sold me on it.
Yeah, it's really stunning.
All right, so we've got a new category here, and it's called Lighting to Die For Award. This is award to a film that made the best use of shadows and contrast or atmosphere. It's, best cinematography. We could call it as well.
Hands down. Yeah.
Okay, so B.
Well, I guess I don't know as definitively as Sam. This one's hard. Best use of lighting and shadows, I think Klute to me sang is the most noir that we watched. And I was like, this is so great. Camera work and interesting lighting. The Long Goodbye looking like everything is behind a pair of sunglasses. I just loved and was more of the essential character to the film than the lighting is in Klute, I think. But I think I just liked Klute for that classic noir feel. So I'm going to go with that one.
All right. I'm giving this award to Klute and the cinematographer Gordon Willis, because not only the overall, I think the best cinematography, but also had the most style in its presentation. Yeah. For the sequence alone, when Bree Daniels approaches Goldfarb in his office, it deserves the award for me. I mentioned that in the episode. The contrasts of light and shadow in that scene is incredible.
I think so too.
So Klute is my award winner.
Him just sitting in the dark. Oh, love it.
For me, it was Klute hands down by a long shot. I feel that its visuals flank the other films in a if it was a rowboat race in London on the Thames, it would just be like a crew. They would be ahead. It's the visuals, and it was aided by. Is it Alan J? Is pronounce it Pakula? His last name, the director, it's his direction in that cinematography. Gordon Willis' cinematography, I thought, was just like top notch.
It's really 100%.
Yes. Yep. All right. Next up, another new category: Best Line Delivered Like a Dagger Award for the most cutting or memorable piece of dialogue.
And I have to go first with this, huh?
Yeah.
It's okay with me. No, that is not. I didn't find too many of those lines, to be honest with you, that just sort of slice through, but I did find a lot of heartbreaking lines in these movies. So one thing I loved is when Bree first meets Klute, and she's sort of still figuring him out. And so she has her sharpest edges at this point in the movie. She's all defense, she's elbows up, and Klute is in her apartment for the first time after that weird little interrogation. And I wrote it down here. She says, "What's in your bag, Klute? What do you like? Are you a talker, a button freak? Maybe you like to get your chest walked on with high-heeled shoes?" That whole monologue where she's accusing him of being a hypocritical pervert is, I think, wonderful.
I like that. All right. So for me, it's a line of dialogue that I actually brought up when we did our Night Moves episode. It's 2 words. There is. And it's when Harry Mosby responds to Tom Iverson when he reveals that he's been getting a little too foolish with a 16-year-old deli and says there ought to be a law. and Harry Mosby says, well, there is. And I just love that line so much. So that is a line
so good.
From Night Moves.
You beat me to it, Nathan. That was definitely mine because I said the line at the same time that he did in the movie. I was like, yes. There is. Idiot. Then he said, I was like, hey, the character. I relate to them. Yeah. So
I know. It makes you wonder if the whole audience stood up in the theater. It was like,
there is.
All right, next category is the Wingman Wingwoman Award. What character would you want to be your wing on a date?
My wing person is obviously Brie Daniels. I told you I will be campaigning for her hard, but seriously, what better woman to take out to a bar on a night where I'm trying to catch a date? She would know all the hot tips.
So Brie Daniels.
Hell yes.
Sure, why not? This was hard for me. Because
everyone in these movies are bad.
Yeah, there are. Well, first of all, there's like nobody from Night Moves that is redeemable. Number one, So, and then I think, there really weren't that many options for me. But this is going to seem like an odd pick, perhaps. But I did pick somebody from the Yakuza. I am taking Dusty.
This is a bad choice.
I think his loyalty and his brashness could provide some entertaining moments.
No woman alive is going to approach you at the bar with this.
I think he'd be good at breaking the ice, You
could have had Ken Tanaka.
God,
although the sense of obligation he felt for doing this favor for you.
I was about to say that, well, anyways, I thought for a moment about Philip Marlowe, but I get the sense that he hasn't showered in weeks. So that's a deal breaker. Oh. So it was so hard finding somebody. I would
take any one of his topless neighbors over Dusty.
Topless neighbors?
Yeah, Philip Marlowe. He just had all those topless neighbors.
I did not think about his neighbors. I did not. I thought of like somebody that was above the line in the cast. I don't know.
Nah.
All right. But good. Nah. That would probably have been better. Sure.
So I'm going with the comedic route on this, but I would definitely take the drunk guy from The Long Goodbye, the alcoholic guy that drowns in the ocean, because by comparison,
Sterling Hayden?
Yeah. By comparison, my date,
you would look amazing.
I would look amazing, and this guy would look like a jerk. And so, yeah, that's why I would he'd be my wingman, so he could be cannon fodder.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Can't go wrong, I guess. All right. Next one is our Fallout Shelter Award. What character?
Is it even a question? It's Brie.
I just want to mention that it's awarded to a character you would invite into our Fallout Shelter, to help be a leader for the future generations.
Even though the text here says help repopulate the earth. Help repopulate the earth.
Again, this is not a hard quiz for me. It's Brie Daniels. She's an incredible character. More Jane Fonda. Bring back Grace and Frankie. There's only so much I can say about this. This was
a kind of a difficult decision for me. Yeah, I could easily say Brie Daniels, but I'm not going to go. Yeah. Toward that. I'm thinking about this because for me, it comes down to survival instincts, physical resilience, leadership skills, and wisdom.
So Sterling Hayden.
Therefore, I'm bringing Ken Tanaka into the Fallout Shelter. And I admit he doesn't check off some boxes. As a companion in our tiny shelter, I think he's not going to contribute much to game night. He'll probably be a big mood killer. He'll probably attempt to put in place some honor code that might be difficult to adhere to. And then there's the pinky cutting habit. So I don't know, but I think he'll be good for the future of mankind.
Just saying, so will Brie.
I got to go with Brie. Although A close second is the boat from Night Moves, because just in case
there's a giant flood and we need Noah's Ark.
Exactly. Yeah.
We went about this in different ways. Okay.
A consensus was not reached here tonight.
All right. Finally, let's just rank these 4 films.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure. I have to say that the top 3, especially second and third place, are really close for me. Mm-hmm. It's a tight race. These are 3 movies that I liked a lot, and I would be happy to watch again anytime. And I would love to introduce folks to. So I hope listeners are out there watching these movies for the first time, because they really are interesting windows into the recent past. So top for me is The Long Goodbye. I don't think that's a huge shock for anyone. And then again, pretty tied, but I have in this order Klute and then Night Moves. I think Night Moves has the better plot, and I think Klute has the better depth of character with Jane Fonda. So, take some, leave some there, but they're both wonderful, exemplary films of the genre, and both really underappreciated. And then following that up a little further apart is the Yakuza, who does stick the landing, but was a movie I just couldn't get attached to the way I could the other 3.
Okay. My order is this, again, the top 3 for me were really tight as well. But you could ask me a year from now and it might be completely shuffled. But by a hair, I actually went with Night Moves as my number 1.
It's very good.
It was the only one that was a clear yes, put it in the vault. When I really thought about it and went back, it was didn't debate it one iota when I was really thinking about it. Long Goodbye was my number 2. Also chose to put it in the vault, but it was an improvement over my last time seeing it. Klute, I said no to, even though I did like it, I did have some problems with it. And again, a distant fourth was a Yakuza, which a movie, again, did not like, but it's just trailing way behind the others. Yeah. Sam.
So this is tough because the top 3 are so close. Like you said, they may oscillate in my mind, but tonight, for me, number 1 would definitely be Klute. And I wasn't there on the recording, but for Klute, I would say yes to the vault.
Wait, that's officially...
That's the tiebreaker. It's Sam.
Oh, fuck. Wow. How about that?
Nice.
Klute is in.
That's
awesome. Great. I forgot about that. And so Klute was my number 1. Long Goodbye, number 2. Night Moves, number 3. But again, just to reiterate, these 1, 2, and 3 are so close that they might change spaces. And the Yakuza is a distant fourth. I think Klute is also fresh in my mind just because it really surprised me. I watched it and I was not expecting. I liked the directing a lot, and that got me into it immediately. And I just thought there was a real energy, and there was almost there was a bit of it had some horror movie vibes to it too. The tiniest bit, not exactly, but just the slightest, the darkness of her apartment, her being watched from the roof. There was like a stalker element in that movie.
Totally.
Which was kind of scary in a good way. So I was not expecting, I was expecting nothing from that movie. And then it turns out it's like right there at the top with Long Goodbye and Night Moves. Night Moves will probably escalate on my list again. Yeah. It's so hard to, those 1, 2, 3, it's like they're on the same mountain.
Klute and Night Moves for me are right there with each other. And in fact, I had more problems with Klute than I did with Night Moves, just particular with the titular character. But I was so moved by Night Moves. I was so shocked at it, and I loved it.
Yeah, it just left a strong impression. Yeah, for me. Yeah.
I think it's just cool that we each have a very different top 4. You know, we have a different number 1 movie, and that's really. I don't think we've ever had that. And,
no, I don't think we have.
Yeah,
we've never had a different number 1 movie. That's really cool. Okay,
interesting.
All right. Well, that concludes our Noirvember Awards. That was a lot of fun. Cool. Okay, we're going to transition to a few of our monthly highlights where we're just going to look back at the month of November, anything that we have been watching or doing that we just want to enlighten our listeners with. And anybody want to start us off? I can do it.
Sure.
Yeah, not me. Yeah, I got to think this.
Sure. Yeah, I had a pretty good week. It's been fun through this retrospective watching adjacent noir movies. That's been a total joy for me. I think I told you I went through all of Pakula's 70s films, which was really fun. I had a great time exploring the genre. So that's been stuff I've been watching. This week, I get to see some upcoming movies. I'm going to see Heretic and Gladiator 2, which I'm pumped about. But I have seen The Wild Robot and Conclave, which I thought were both very good. Wild Robot was just, I thought, very beautiful. It kind of surprised me. I'm not huge into kids movies or animated movies, but Nathan, I think you've seen it too, right?
Wild Robot? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I love the Wild Robot. I took my youngest daughter to see that. We were bawling at the end of that.
Yeah, I was too.
I am pulling for that to win Best Animated Feature. I really hope it does. Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome. And Conclave, I thought was I don't think it's a movie that stuck the landing. I don't know if either of you have seen it, but I had a good time with it up until the end. So now I just get to think about my December theme, which I think personally might be a little more Wes-sember again.
Yeah. Very cool. I will mention one thing and we can kind of ping pong back and forth. Here's what I will start off mentioning. A month ago, I finished up my Robert Altman retrospective series. And Sam, you actually asked me a couple of weeks ago, have I started my next director's retrospective? Well, I have, and I did make a decision on who it was going to be. So here's what I did. I kind of cheated though. Well, I did break a rule, and I was going to keep it with a director who was no longer with us. And I hope this isn't a bad omen for him, because he's definitely still alive. And although he's 95 years old, and hey, if Clint Eastwood could make a movie in his mid-90s, then why not this guy? But I also wanted to select a filmmaker who doesn't have an incredibly exhaustive filmography. I just came off watching 36 films of Robert Altman, which was exhaustive. So I was looking forward to a filmmaker with a slightly smaller library. So anyways, I've buried the lead enough with this. I've started my Alejandro Jodorowsky retrospective.
More power to you, man.
And this past week, I saw his first feature film, Fondo and Liz, I think that's how you say it, from 1968. This film is a surrealistic fever dream where the two main characters are on a quest to go to this mythical city of Tar, where happiness will reside for all. And it's certainly abstract, polarizing, and there's plenty of shocking imagery. And all I know is that this being the first film, and I'm guessing is only going to get weirder.
Oh, it gets weird, dude.
It's going to be a very trippy journey.
It's so weird.
And probably just what I need to do to escape this reality. I'll keep you all updated as I progress.
Last week, or was it last week? So, yeah, last week I was at the American Film Market, and that was a really good event. There were a lot of independent films being screened there. It was very busy because I was more going to like meetings and panels. But one film I did get to see was called Mundije, Mundije. I met the director. Lear Luna also goes by Fatmir Bardhaki, and it was kind of a political action thriller. Eric Roberts was in it, and I enjoyed it because it really reminded me of the style and the tone, even though it was a different subject. It reminded me of the movie The Foreigner, starring Jackie Chan and Pierce Brosnan, where it's like a political thriller, but it was interesting. It was just fun talking with the director and some of the people involved. I definitely enjoyed the movie. I recommend checking it out. But it was fun because it had a kind of 90s political thriller action vibe to it. And it was an ensemble cast, and it had a bunch of different exotic locations and travel all around. So I really enjoyed it.
That's on.
And I did want to see Heretic as well, as we were talking about B. I haven't seen it yet. I had 2 opportunities to see it, but I was just too busy. I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy that movie.
Well, Hugh Grant's mad at you.
He is. He's like, Sam, I thought we had a deal. He was supposed to come here.
I saw Honora this past week.
Oh, I can't wait. How was it?
And I love that. This is the latest from Sean Baker, whom I think is 4 for 4, knocking it out of the park. His previous films, Tangerine, The Florida Project, Red Rocket, all have a special place in my heart. But some of my favorites from their respective years, Honora is no different, and likely will end up very high on my end of year list. It's about a call girl who is very quickly swooned by a Russian student who happens to come from a wealthy family. But I'm not going to spoil anything else about this film, because this is exactly how I went into the film, knowing only 3 pieces of information. It is A, Sean Baker directed it, B, the start time, and where it's showing. I knew nothing else about this film, and I swear that's all I knew. And I'm incredibly grateful I didn't read a single plot synopsis or, God forbid, see a trailer, because the surprises in this film are wonderful. I'm becoming more and more an advocate of skipping trailers when I know that I'm blind. When I know I'm going to see a movie, or there's something coming out, because I have not seen the trailer for this, but I've heard that it reveals so much about the plot that I know it would have ruined the movie for me, because there's a lot in this that I had no idea was coming, and I'm grateful that I didn't know. Mikey Madison, I think it's Mikey Madison, gives an Oscar-worthy performance, as does my other favorite performance is Tovmassian. I know I butchered his name. He is also great turn in a supporting role as a character named Toros. I loved this movie, but somehow, as much as I loved it, the final 10 seconds of this movie actually made it even better. That's the Sean Baker touch. So this, you're in the hands of a brilliant filmmaker when something like that happens. He does it again. This is a great film.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm a fan of his as well. I can't wait to watch that.
Anyone else have something to mention?
I just trauma dumped mine up front.
Okay. Sam, anything else?
No, I've been so busy with, I haven't seen any films. I've been in tons of meetings. I had a great meeting with the West Virginia Film Commission and their sort of tax rate incentives on low budget productions. All my stuff is all business stuff. I have not caught up, aside from what we've watched. I have not had the chance to see any film. Oh, wait a minute. Oh my God. I'm an idiot. Oh my God. All right.
Well, we know.
I did see, that's funny. I'm going to give a moment of silence how to take that. Anyway, January 10th will be my final appearance on this podcast. It's going to be my big swan song. But yes, I can't believe it. My brain is so dead. I thought it was excellent. I was at the Paramount premiere for September 5th, the film about the 1972 Munich Olympics told from the ABC News's perspective. That was amazing. Sean Penn was there. He produced the film, and so he introduced it. I thought it was a taut, suspenseful, well-done docudrama thriller, a really kind of like being there feel. I don't think it reinvented any kind of wheel, but I thought it was so well done and so realistic. I didn't feel like I was watching a movie with actors about the 70s. It felt like a window into 1972. Oh, wow. That was amazing. And on a personal note, I met one of my favorite directors, Philip Noyce, who did Clear and Present Danger and Patriot Games. I was talking to him about those 2 films.
Love
and I can't quite imitate he's Australian, so his accent is sort of hard to pinpoint as formal. But when we were talking about the 2 movies, I asked him which one he liked better. And his response was, well, Clear and Present Danger is the better film, I think, which I agree. I like them both. So that was a lot of fun. And that movie did leave an impression. I so much going through my head that I did remember that movie, and I highly enjoyed it. It was just such an event that I forgot to, it's like, oh, of course that counts as a film because it's a film. Duh.
That's very cool, Sam.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow. I'm just going to mention the last thing I have on my list here. I'm cleaning up a bit of my Halloween horror watching. So I caught up with Tarot, which came out, I think, in May. Yeah. It's now on streaming on Netflix.
And you're asking, do you hate yourself?
This was an absolutely run-of-the-mill PG-13 horror movie, which is very much void of real scares or violence. But it did muster nearly $50 million worldwide at the box office on an $8 million budget. So I guess it was a success, which means we'll probably be getting more of them. It's trying to dovetail off the success of spooky board games like Ouija. and I don't know what else, but which got me thinking that it's probably just a matter. It's probably just, well, I was about to say, probably just a matter of time before we get more movies based on board games or other scary games like that. So I want to pitch to people out there, and maybe if there's listeners out there, don't steal these ideas, but this is what I think the future of cinema is going to be. So we're going to have a movie called Hide and Seek. It's going to be a group of friends who play high stakes version of hide and seek in an abandoned mansion, only to discover that one of them isn't hiding, they're hunting. As the game progresses, supernatural forces manipulate the rules, turning the hunted into hunters. We're also going to have a movie called Twister, and it's a party game that turns into a night of terror when the mat comes alive, tangling players in grotesque positions and testing their flexibility to survive. Mm-hmm. And then my favorite, of course, is the movie Operation.
Oh, God.
A medical horror film where participants in the game of Operation must perform real-life surgeries on themselves or others.
Like Saw.
When even the mistakes, trigger gruesome consequences. So I love this. Or even the best one of all, The Game of Life. And I had a really elaborate description for this horror film, but then I realized you could just turn on the news. That is the show tonight, everyone. All right. Thanks
for tuning in. See you January 10th.
Yes.
And to confirm, I will not be leaving the show after January 10th. That was a joke. I will be staying.
And I'm sorry, Sam.
No.
That was a pot shot.
It's okay. We're all idiots in the eyes of the Yakuza. It's a mystery of the ages. No, of course, no offense taken. I'm being silly the whole time.
The real Yakuza are the friends we make along the way, right?
Oh, my God.
All right. That is the show for this week. Back to the Frame Rate is part of the Western Media Podcast Network. Special thanks to Brian Ellsworth for our show opening. On behalf of all of us, we bid you farewell from the fall shelter. And I'm losing my voice again. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe and leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. Find more episodes at backtotheframerate.com and follow us on your social media. With our
You're going to get there. Just nice and slow. Deep breaths.
Your support brightens our bunker. Until next time, stay with us and keep hope alive and share our show with your friends. This is the end of our transmission. Back to the Frame Rate, signing off.
I want you to know it's over.